Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome, Ciara. Congratulations on
Thank
making
you.
the semifinals for SPFBOX. How are you feeling?
Terrified? No, feeling really good actually. Very, just definitely did not expect this at all. So
Oh, so for those who don't know what SPFBOX is, you're tuning in a little late. This is the self-published fantasy blog off, and every year Mark Lawrence organizes this competition for indie authors, and 300 authors throw their books in the ring to be judged mercilessly. No, just kidding.
no, it is pretty merciless.
Bloggers. And those bloggers pick a group of semifinalists who then go on to finalist rounds, and then there is one winner out of the 300 in the end. So Ciara is here with the House of Starling, and I was so excited. I have been following your project before the book ever came out, and so just to get to see it on there, oh,
I know I've been like, yeah,
oh.
because you and I have been connected on Instagram for it feels like years now, right?
I know it
Still
feels like
long.
a long time. Oh, so I am absolutely tickled. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the House of Starling and what it's about, what flavor of fantasy it is for people who are hearing about it for the first time?
Oh, very good question. I'm terrible at talking about my own book.
Well, we wouldn't spend hundreds of thousands of words writing the thing if we
I
had to
know.
summarize it in a paragraph, you know?
It's too hard. Just here. No, I'm just kidding.
But it
So
has hints of epic.
it
And
definitely has hints of epic. But I do honestly think it probably fits more in like the high fantasy, but definitely romantic high fantasy. So originally I set out to almost write like a Romeo and Juliet retelling with elves, basically. And then it snowballed with magic and weird sibling rivalry and evil queens and craziness, as things do. So, but I would say that the romantic subplot definitely tries to take over every once in a while, but I definitely try to keep it more to the epic or high fantasy than the romance, pure
yeah, I think it's
romance.
pretty
So,
well balanced. You've
good,
got that
because
romantic side, but then you've also got the epicness, like the battling within characters that you see,
yeah,
the character driven growth, character driven storyline. And that's one of the things we saw last year was all the finalists were character driven stories. And
which is
there's nothing
awesome.
against a plot driven story.
Yeah,
It's like you can, I think House of Starling really excels in that it's got an exciting, gripping plot, but then it still has those good characters.
well, thank you.
Oh, Esme, hey.
Hey.
Oh, thank you for all you do and the other bloggers do.
Yeah, and thank you for helping me become a semifinalist. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, so excited. And so I was actually about to ask. No pressure now that we know Esme is on.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop the link to the review, and the links to the books and to Ciara's stuff are in the description box and to Mark Lawrence's official blog, so you can catch all of this there. But I'm going to pull this up on the screen for people not watching on YouTube. Um, the Fantasy Book Critic is the blog you were assigned to. And that blog divided the books that were assigned to them, about 30, up among sub bloggers, essentially, who read and reviewed and are going to pick semifinalists. Have you read your review yet?
I did read my review, and Esme is in a different time zone, and she had messaged me to let me know that it had been posted. And I'm like laying in bed at
Oh,
6
that's
in
so
the morning, and I'm
nice.
like, what's going on? And so I pulled it up and I read
Oh,
it, and I was like, I was crying in my bed, first of all, because I was like, what is happening? But it's such a, I read the whole review too, so it was like reading about the other books, and I'm like, oh, there's no way, as I'm like going through, because the way she structured the review, it's like each of the 6 books that she had, and then at the very bottom the semifinalists. So I'm like reading all these great reviews about, and I'm like, okay, TBR, that one's going on there, that one's going on there, and then I get to the very end and I was like, wait, what? So I did read the review, and her review style is so, like, it just makes me want to read all of these books now. So I'm like, huh, all right.
yes.
But yeah.
It was amazing. Oh, thank you again, Esme, hopping off. And for those who don't know, Esme has a YouTube channel. You should definitely go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And check out just the reviews in general. There are some great reviews, like you said. And one of the things I love about SPFBO is that even if a book's not chosen as a finalist, most of the bloggers really put a lot of time into laying out the strengths of the books to sort of help them find the audience that would like them, which is huge. So
it is huge because it's like, and just because my book worked for this doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. And being able to read those reviews in such a critical way was super good because, like, I don't know, based on the reviews, I was like, how come? What about this one? So now I'm trying to go through because I'm such a slow reader and reading all. I'm starting with the books that were in my group, and then I'm going to go back and start reading all the other semi-finalists. So,
yeah.
I'm such a
I think all of us who are like, we want to read all the SPFBOX books are going, okay, the semi-finalists are going to move up on the TBR just a little bit.
Yeah. You want to see what's going on. That's how I am.
200 books to read or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Not like a huge stack. Don't look at my Goodreads TBR list, that's for sure, because it's intense.
And we were on last night with Stephanie, who's one of the other semi-finalists, and Stephanie has a booktube channel, was saying how she's put together the hardest book challenge you'll ever do, and that there's a whole dedicated spot for SPFBO books in that challenge. And I was like, I don't know, you could easily get swept up so much in the reading that it's hard to write like sequels. So what is going on with you? So now that you've hit semi-finalist and you get the official like semi-finalist badge or whatever for this book,
I'm wearing it right here.
What happens next in your writing world?
So I'm actually working on book 2, The House of Starling, and it's actually with beta readers right now. But I feel like I might be rushing the process a little bit. I know. I'm like, I just want to get it out to people, but at the same time, I spent 3 years on the first book. So I feel like I need to at least do a year on this one, right?
Not going to go at its own pace. We're not going to
exactly
if it wants to come faster.
But so I have book 2 with beta readers, and I'm actually drafting book 3. So it's like I can't step away. Like it's too hard to step away sometimes from these characters in this world.
I love it. So is it a trilogy, you think, or you think it might be longer?
It's a trilogy, these characters. But unfortunately, some of the other like characters in the world that we've touched, they need a little bit of their own story. So there's probably going to be more in this world, but I don't know. The whole author writing thing is so new to me too that I'm like, I have all these crazy ideas like everybody else, but
yeah,
I can't step out of this. So then I'm like, what am I doing next?
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot. Get that series down.
Yeah, I originally thought it was going to be 4 books, and then the House of Starling was definitely pantsed completely. So I've been trying to actually plot, right?
So this is actually trying to wondering, a pantser can make SPFBO semi-finalist.
Yeah, there you go. Like I sat down, it was like right after Christmas in 2020 when we were all locked up, and I wrote it in less than 2 months. So, and then I worked for 3 years trying to get it so that it would actually be something that people would want to read. So, yeah, it was just crazy.
And it all paid off.
Exactly.
It all paid off.
Well, and I feel like that was way easier than trying, like, after you've learned all I had no idea how to do the 3-act story structure, any of that stuff. Like, I had no idea what any of this stuff was. I was just like, I'm telling a story. Yeah. But so then I started learning, and then I felt like writing the second book was so much harder. Trying to fit stuff in. So, it almost ruined me. It is.
And there's all
when
the
you don't want
pressure
to.
too, that, and I was wondering how you were overcoming this, but book two's already with beta readers. You have overcome.
I don't
Congratulations.
know
You
if
slayed.
I don't know if I have. I was just having like some rough imposter syndrome today. Like, oh man, because I, it's nothing against the feedback that I've gotten, but I've gotten some feedback from a couple of beta readers where they're like, "Hey, this really is not working." So then I'm like, "Oh no, like what am I doing?" But yeah, I think probably one of the hardest things in my life so far was trying to get this second book so that it would be so that I would be comfortable giving it to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And sometimes when
So
you get such good success with like the first book in a series, it is
it's
so
hard to,
hard because it's
yeah,
like, now I know the second book has to be better, right? But how do you
yeah.
be better
How do you
from what you
exactly
feel
like?
was so hard and you're surprised was so well received? And I think that fuels imposter syndrome for a lot of writers who have their
It's
first book well received.
yeah.
So I'm so proud of you to
Oh,
already have
thank
book
you.
two with the beta readers. I know it's going to be awesome when it's done.
I hope so. Hopefully,
Yes.
it's the same vibe because I know that um, as you go through this series, the romance does definitely grow a little bit, obviously, because it's relationship based. But I don't want it to completely take over, and so I'm like, how do I make sure that like this? I don't. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
winging
Good
it at this
balance.
point. It's
Exactly.
terrible. Nobody wants to hear that, but I'm winging it. Okay,
Hey, we are pantsers. We live by
right,
winging it. And the first book was pantsed and it did great. So
right. So I'm good.
just like every time you go, oh, should I be winging it? Book one did fine. Book one did
Yeah,
fantastic.
just sit down and
Um,
write it.
so at the beginning of SPFBOX, right after they announced who the finalists were, we did like the SPFBOX blitzes. So we had everybody on.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I asked everybody was, what was their game plan going in? And if they were going to be watching or trying to be distracted, or if they
Mhm.
had any strategies in place for like connecting with extra readers. So now that you're on the semi-finalist side,
Oh man,
what did you actually end up doing the last couple months?
just sitting here waiting. I'm terrible. I I mean, I did an interview with you, and I've kind of been trying to keep up with stuff, but I'm like, it moves. I know it seems like it doesn't move that fast, but at the same time, it's moving so fast. I can't. I'm on the Discord and I'm trying to keep up with everything, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But I I discounted for that first month because I was like, it seems like that's the thing to do. So I ended up doing a discount, which is great. But I feel like I didn't really see because I'm not as I mean, this is my first book, so I'm not as well known as a lot of these other authors.
Yeah.
So that's intimidating. So I'm like, oh crap. Like there's some big books in it this year where I've been
Yeah.
just kind of
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh man, huh, like you've got 2,000 reviews on Goodreads. What?
But the judges,
Here's my
they judge based on the content, though. It has
no, I
nothing to
know,
do with
which is
who the author
awesome.
is or like how well known the author is. It's solely on the book, which makes it great. It's like,
It I mean, that's probably one of the best parts about it is that it strips you down and it takes away all of the I'm I'm a writer, but I can't come up with the word that I want. Like there's
like all the
no
marketing fluff.
yeah. Well that and there's like no I've been writing for years and I have 20 books out. It's all cut down. You're all at the same level.
Yeah.
And that's awesome to me because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, anybody has a chance at this. If I am a semi-finalist, anybody has a chance. Like that's what I'm getting out of it. So, but
Absolutely.
I've been trying to pay attention. I'm adding a lot of
Everybody
things to my
take
TBR,
notes.
right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think after last year and reading over the ones that were chosen as semifinalists
hmm
last year and then the finalists, seeing the trends that it doesn't matter if you've written 20 years or if this is your first book, seeing the trends of what readers pick up as a great read is so helpful as a
Yeah,
writer and as a reader. It's like,
exactly.
oh, yeah,
Because you can
that's
really look
actually a really
at,
good point.
yeah. Well, and I wonder if that's really, you see a lot more of the character driven stories being a little bit more popular. So then you wonder if that's really the direction as a writer, if you should target these more character driven stories. for your next book that you want to write. No.
But yeah. Imposter syndrome's real, and I love that you brought that up because it's like, okay, now I'm semi-finalist, and now what, right?
Yeah, like I don't know.
You're like, okay, just keep plugging with the next books. I think that's all you can do, really. But we want to hear a little bit talking about your characters. Who was the most fun to write?
Ooh. Probably Dulani Freck. I tell people he's probably the closest to a self-insert that I have in the books. Like I'm the goober that is bubbly and emotional changes very quick and just wants to be loyal and be your friend and be there for you. So he was definitely very fun to write. But I think my all-time favorite character is Belkin, which is crazy because he's not even really. I like Belkin a lot.
Spoilers.
I'm like, I know it's coming for Belkin, but
and we're all like, oh no, what's going to happen to
Belkin? No, I'm just kidding.
We hear it here first. Everybody, quick. Position. Don't kill off Belkin.
Poor Belkin. No, he's fine. Don't worry. I mean, I really like. There's things about all the characters that I've really enjoyed. I will say that I've definitely book 2. I'm really excited for people to like get in because I have a couple of new characters that you meet, and they're so fun. They're younger. That's the only thing that I will say is that like all my characters so far have been older, like they're elves, so like hundreds of years, and then Ray and Gastel are in their 30s, and Dulani's in his 30s.
They're like baby elves,
but they're like teenagers, so there is a different vibe, and I'm like, I don't know if I like the whole younger character thing. I'm an old lady. I like old characters. Thank you. But for the story, they needed to be younger, I guess. That's the best way to put it.
So pushing out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But no, there's definitely pieces about each character that I really like. I didn't go, at least I don't think I went with like the morally gray main male character. Gastel's such a cinnamon roll. Like that's what I wanted. I wanted him to be sweet and like constantly be like, oh, I can't do this. What? I don't want to kill people. What are we doing? But so
it's like they think the story's about them. They just run off.
Yeah.
No, you're my sweet character. Come back.
Yeah, come back here. What are you doing?
Oh goodness. So you've been waiting on the other. We know you've been working on book 2, and now there's the long stretch between semi-finalists and finalists because a lot of bloggers are still reading their first batches. Not all of the semi-finalists have been announced. Has making it to this part in the competition changed anything about your strategy for how you're going to approach waiting for the next round?
I don't think so. I think my strategy thus far has just been let's wing it. So and I don't think I'm gonna, so far it's been good. I'm just gonna no, I think the biggest thing that's probably helped me has just been that like I know it's not up to me well, I've already done the work that I can do. There's nothing else I can really do. So it really is just like hanging out and seeing and reading reviews and looking at my competition. No, I'm just kidding.
And not feeling the imposter syndrome go higher.
Exactly. And I get like, I got so excited because I was the first semi-finalist that was announced. And then I was like, and then when the next was announced, I got so excited. I was like, wow, who is this person? And I was like researching all this stuff. And so I think that's just been my strategy is like researching my competition. No, you're not really competition. You're my colleagues.
So you can team up and be like, let's see what happens.
No, that's kind of part of me is like, I should reach out to them and be like, what are we doing? What are we going to do? This is going to be cool.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I love about SPFBO is it's the weirdest competition in that I don't feel competitive toward the other writers in any way.
Exactly. Because
And
there's
you're
not
like,
really.
yes! And I opened it up and saw your name as the first semifinalist. First semifinalist. I'm like, this book is such a good book. And I'm like, wait. And my husband's like, aren't you in this competition? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't you in this competition? We're just waiting to hear back on yours.
So many good books, and it's like indie just wins overall.
Yeah,
and that's great.
It's so. I was having a conversation with someone about just indie in general, and just that, there's so many new voices. It breaks out of like this. I'm not saying traditionally published books are bad, but they have a very similar flavor all the way across to me. There's so much new stuff and new voices in indie that is awesome. And it's like so many indie authors are taking the time to really make awesome books too. So it's like, it's great.
No, I'm not alone anymore. Who else is in the ring? Exactly. Right now we're all just sort of floating in that 300 and just waiting to see, am I cut or am I not cut? What happens? And then okay, well, here's where I fall, and going on from there. That's a great point. So are there dragons in your book is a question we've been getting a lot.
No
dragons.
No. So that's another thing that, like, I've been trying to wrap my head around monsters, because I was trying to introduce more monsters in general, not just like, or beasts, I guess would be a better way of putting it. I don't have the confidence yet, I think, to really do justice. Basically what I ended up doing is pulling in the dragons from naming convention, which sounds like a cop-out.
Yeah.
But like, so, because there's this emphasis on house names, more so in the first book than the second book. That's where you get like this Romeo and Juliet, where there's like 2 different houses.
Like a political intrigue slice to it.
Exactly. There is a little bit of dragon and other mythical creatures in the lore, like the history of the world, but you don't see that at this point in the history of Rend, if you will, the name of my world. No, I'm just kidding. So no dragons. Sorry, guys. Well, and part of me was happy because I'm like, Fourth Wing is so popular. Not to bring up Fourth Wing, is so popular with dragons that part of me was like, I don't want to compete with that. I don't want to. No, I am not a dragon fantasy. Sorry.
And it's really valid. It's valid. Last night, Stephanie's book is very creature focused. So if you are looking for that, that's there. And that's another great thing about SPFBO. It's like there's fantasy for everybody.
So many.
I was saying, it's not one flavor.
There's
the dark. There was somebody on, I think, with a Western. It's like we got.
Yes, I saw that. I was like,
and it's all over the board, so you can go hop in. And I actually really love the epic fantasies, and the fact that even though it's a romance, the whole book is not just about 2 people pining after each other. There is an actual like plot and story beyond the 2 of them, and it makes it great.
Even though there's no dragons. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay. We don't always need dragons. We got elves, and court intrigue. Yes. and the cinnamon roll.
He's got
Question
cinnamon
mark.
roll. I don't know.
Oh goodness.
I can't promise anything, guys. I can't promise anything. I'm in my villain era. We'll put it that way.
That's right. We're gonna bring in the morally gray a little bit. So yes. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
My pleasure. And again, if you're just now seeing Ciara for the first time, hearing about SPFBO for the first time, want to go read this book, you can grab the book in the description box. I'm not an affiliate of anything, and I have not been sponsored to make the video. I'm just a fellow SPFBO participant, and I love doing these. So Mark and Esme and the rest of the judges, if you're watching, thank you guys for what you do.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. And thank
It's
you,
awesome.
Ciara. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Can't wait for book 2.
Yep. All right.
Bye,
Thanks.
everybody. Thanks.
Bye.